Here are my top 5 athletes of all time. At number 5, give me Tom Brady. No football player has been as dominant at any position as Tom Brady was over the course of his career. 7 Super Bowl rings, 3 All-Pro nods, 3 MVPs, over 600 touchdowns, and over 84,000 passing yards. Not to mention the dozens of comebacks and game-winning drives. They said he couldn't win without Belichick. They said he goes out and wins a ring with only the Patriots, but then he does it with the Bucs. He retired this year after leading the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns, all at the young age of 44. Simply put, that type of dominance will never be replicated in the sport again. Tom Brady's the greatest football player ever, but he ain't the greatest athlete ever. At number 4, give me Simone Biles. But how can a 24-year-old be considered one of the greatest ever? Well, I'll tell you how. Simone Biles is the most decorated gymnast of all time. 19 gold world championship medals, 3 silver, 3 bronze at 24 years old. And that's not to mention her 4 Olympic golds. Yeah, she got the twisties at the 2020 Olympics, but if you're going to hold winning silver and bronze medals against her, that alone shows how great she is, because you expected nothing but gold at this point. Before the 2020 Olympics, she hadn't lost an all-around competition in 7 years. She's the first woman to land a Yurchenko double piking competition, which, if you don't know what it is, you absolutely have to look it up. Pure athleticism, combined with her achievements and dominance compared to her fellow gymnasts, is a gap that is too large to leave her off this list. And Lord knows she has a lot more gymnastics to go in her career. Simone Biles is number 4, but considering she is 24, I really wouldn't be surprised to see her near the top later in her career. At number 3 is the most decorated Olympian of all time, the Baltimore Bullet, the Flying Fish, Michael Phelps. Let's start with this. Michael Phelps is the greatest Olympian of all time. 28 medals, including 23 gold in just 5 Olympic Games. It is seriously ridiculous how dominant Phelps was over the span of his career. At every step of his career came another broken record. Youngest man on the U.S. Olympic swim team in 68 years. The lowest he placed in any Olympics is 5th, and that was back in 2000. World championships, national titles, world records. He has more of those than any other swimmer in history. With the Olympics being seen as the pinnacle of athletics, it only makes sense to have its most dominant performer at number 3. But Phelps is great, but he ain't the other 2. And at number 2, give me Serena Williams. An open era record, 23 Grand Slam titles, and en route to those titles has beat 12 different players ranked number 1. Do I really need to go on? Serena Williams is the greatest female athlete of all time, and she is number 2 on my list of greatest athletes, period. But let's not also forget, she has won 85% of her matches, and she's racked up some pretty good prize money, if I do say so myself, totaling at over $94 million, which is tops all time. Serena hasn't been on any dominating stretch recently, but let it be known, she has been dominating the sport of tennis for a long, long time, and is simply the greatest tennis player ever. It may be the new age of players as far as women's tennis goes, but let it be known, Serena Williams is the pinnacle of tennis, but she is not the greatest athlete of all time. The greatest athlete of all time is none other than Muhammad Ali. There are 2 sides to Muhammad Ali being the greatest athlete of all time. First, you have his in-ring performance, winning a gold medal in the light heavyweight division, or in the lightweight division, being the youngest boxer to unseat a reigning heavyweight champion, having those big moments like the fight of the century versus Joe Frazier, the Rumble in the Jungle, the Thriller in Manila, all of that. But you know what trumps it all? How he was bigger than sports. April 28, 1967, Muhammad Ali is convicted of draft evasion, stripped of the heavyweight title, suspended from boxing, and sentenced to 5 years in prison. 5 years. I couldn't even get it out. The heavyweight champion of the world, a top-tier athlete and celebrity, puts all the money, all the endorsements on the line to stand for what he believes in. It's simply remarkable. It is a whole nother level of leadership, sacrifice, and perseverance than to come back and upset George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle and to beat Joe Frazier in the Thriller in Manila. it shows how much Ali lost and how he came back to reclaim his throne in exceptional fashion. A man once known as Cassius Clay was more than a boxer. He was a champion of change. Muhammad Ali is the GOAT of GOATs.